Hello everyone, it's your boy Mohako. Today we're going to go over the Guilty Gear Strive version 1.48 patch notes. Dated for today the 20th, but out tomorrow the 21st when Lucy arrives as well. We're going to get right into it, and just to note, I'm just going to keep documenting these things from now on, just so that way we can keep track of everything and you can always come back to this video if you prefer to just hear someone read everything out. So I'll try my best not to give my personal takes on anything until we get through most of it, and we'll go from there. So let's begin. So you get some basic stuff saying that Lucy's being added, all that stuff. You can sit there and take a second to read that. Some additional background music. Take a look or pause if you need to see what was added. Some avatars for Lucy, David, Rebecca, all that good stuff. Yeah, just basically all that. Some new dialogue lines for Soul, Axel, Asuka, digital figure for Unica. Cool. All right, rank match, the good stuff. Added new online mode, rank match. This mode can be accessed from the network in the main menu. All right, then it shows all of the rankings. It says rank match is a mode where you can compete against random online opponents for RP rank points. Ranks are assigned to each character, so the first 10 battles for each character will be placement matches to determine their starting rank. So you will have to do placement matches. All right, cool. So iron, bronze, silver, gold, plat, diamond, and vanquisher. All right, everything looks good. I like those icons. They look pretty sick if you ask me. All right, and then it says with the addition of rank, the following changes have been made. Some mode names have been changed, so be aware of this. Online match is now lobby match. Rank tower is now dual tower. The celestial floor in the dual tower is now treated as the same as other floors and is considered an assigned floor, allowing players to enter regardless of their assigned floor. That's good. Along with this change, the following adjustments have been made. The Celestial Floor Challenge has been removed. Thank God. Players can now be promoted to Celestial Floor through a rating update from the 10th floor. Even if a player's assigned floor is the Celestial Floor, they can now be demoted to the 10th floor based on their match record. Okay. Then it says players whose assigned floor is Celestial Floor can no longer enter the 10th floor. Thank you. Stay on Celestial. Stop farming off of 10th floor and below players. I always thought that was weird. The monthly reset will no longer cause demotion from the Celestial Floor. All right. Then it says regarding August Celestial Floor ranking. As of this update, all players who have reached the Celestial Floor will have their assigned floor set to 10th floor regardless of whether the patch has been applied. The Celestial Floor ranking recorded prior to the update will continue to be tallied as is until the final day of August. Although the update will allow free entry to and exit from the Celestial Floor, win counts from Celestial Floor ranking will only be counted if your assigned floor is Celestial Floor. Therefore, if you wish to continue aiming for the top of the rankings after the update, you will need to raise your assigned floor back to Celestial Floor. All right. And then it just shows these badges. That's the Celestial badge. It says added Celestial assigned badge, yada. RP badge. Yeah, I like these badges. I actually think they look pretty cool. The following features have been added. Indicator of opponent's connection type. Thank God. Vote to cancel match feature. Added a block function when the game is interrupted. Nice. About indicator for opponent's connection type. In rank matches, when you are matched with an opponent, the game will detect their internet connection type. If they're using a wired connection, the standard icon will be displayed. If they're using a wireless connection, it will switch to a wireless icon. And then it says this feature is not supported in certain modes such as lobby match, team of 3, and PlayStation tournaments. Wow, that's weird. Why would it not be Whatever. PlayStation Tournaments is an event feature available on PS4 and PS5 versions of Strive. And you can see the icon there. Then it says about vote to cancel match. During online matches, the game detects there's either the ping or rollback frames values exceeded a certain threshold. A vote to cancel match will appear for both players. You can vote by holding down the button, and if both players vote, the match will be invalidated and ended. It says this is not supported in certain modes such as Team of 3 and once again PlayStation Tournaments. And you can see the example here of the match being canceled successfully. Addition of block function during game interruption. When a game is interrupted due to a network error, a message will appear with a block opponent button. Interesting. You can block the opponent by pressing and holding the button. You will no longer be matched with blocked opponents. You can check the block list from the R code follow list. And some other changes. Change the lighting settings for characters appearing in the Battle Stage Council of 3. In ranking, the following rankings have been changed to display only players whose related records have been updated at least once a month. Total win count ranking and character level ranking. And then it's some various fixes for issues. So something about Unica's special command move. Says move will not count towards completion when activated. So some basic stuff, nothing too crazy. Then it says the battle version updates from 4.06 to 4.07. Now to the actual really good stuff. We have revised some universal mechanics to address certain offensive and defensive interactions that were seen as problematic. Regarding character-specific adjustments, our focus has been on improving the overall balance of the cast. We have also updated underutilized moves to give them a more distinct purpose. Then it says risk level mechanic change. The risk level mechanic no longer affects damage scaling. Instead, the character's defense now varies depending on the risk level accumulated, increasing the damage dealt. And then it says previously the risk accumulation reduced damage scaling, which led to combo damage in particular significantly increasing even with only slight accumulation. With these new property changes or new properties, a small amount of risk level will no longer result in major changes to combo damage. And then it just basically gives examples. So if you want to take the time to pause when you need to and read, you can. It's a lot to read, but it's just going over everything. I don't want to spend a whole video on, stuff like that, but it is there. Then it gives an example. So Souls combo, Bandit Bringer, Crouch S, Close S, Bandit, Revolver, second hit, Sten HS, and then Far S. At risk 0 does 164. That same combo at 50% risk as of 1.47 is 223 damage. As of the next version at the same risk level, it does 182 damage. So a pretty significant nerf to the risk thing. And then there's not much of a difference between 1.47 and 1.48 at 100% risk. It's literally a 4-point difference. So yeah, go figure. All right, so some changes to the Yellow Roman cancel. Yellow Roman cancel has been changed to create a greater distance on hit. This prevents the player initiating the reversal from gaining too great of an advantage. When there is no change to recovery frames, it is now more difficult to initiate immediate strike throw mix-up. This is good. When blocked in air, the user will land faster and be more susceptible to a punish, okay? You now face significant risk if Yellow Roman cancel is blocked mid-air. That's fair. Furthermore, it is now possible to activate during Guard Crush, increasing the options available to deal with Guard Crush. Many moves that cause Guard Crush have long recovery frames, so performing Yellow Roman cancel will now allow you a path to escape. Thank God. So that means Gold Lewis, Ram, Potemkin, you name it. The people that constantly guard crush you all the time. Now you have an actual legit option. So that's good. With the few exceptions, overdrives with invincibility from the startup will now deplete tension gates on the first frame of startup. The technique of using purple rim and cancel solely to utilize the invincibility period was extremely powerful, as it could yield greater returns than landing in overdrive. With this change, using the same technique as before will now require 100% of the tension gauge. And then some changes for the stagger recovery. Pressing a button during stagger recovery no longer triggers a recovery. Instead, the character will automatically recover at the earliest possible moment. In conjunction with this change, adjustments have been made to some moves that induce stagger. Now for wild assaults, says they were still too powerful. Overall, the following adjustments have been made to emphasize the traits of each color variation. So starting with red, number 1, it can no longer be canceled on block. It says it now rewards players for hitting the opponent with it, and in turn less potential to maintain their offense when it is blocked. All right, so great changes, thank goodness. Blue, increased damage scaling and blowback scaling upon hitting the enemy. This wild assault now rewards players when they make the opponent block it, and in turn has less potential for combos when it hits. Okay. White wild assault, it is now impossible to perform a Roman cancel. Wow. While useful in neutral, it will no longer allow you to keep momentum when blocked. All right, so great changes overall. They didn't favor either of the three. They all seem to got some pretty reasonable changes. We already went over all the risk level stuff. I'm not reading all that. Stagger, yellow, Roman cancel. We reread basically all this. Is just kind of grouping it together. All right, so these are all the characters in the game, and let's jump right into it, starting with Soul. We have reduced the difficulty of combos in certain situations to increase the reward of successfully confirming based on a situation in a match. Crouch S now triggers a stagger effect on counter hit. It can now combo into the charge version of Night Raid Vortex on counter hit. Previously, the counter hit slow motion effect made the move hard to convert off of due to highly difficult combos. This adjustment will provide stable damage when players successfully confirm it. So we read the one for Crouch S, which is a stagger effect on counter hit. Ground throw, when throwing an opponent in a corner, the distance is now the same regardless of the character. Wild throw can no longer be canceled from normal and command normals. Okay. And then the Tyrant Rave nerf for the purple RC. I'm not reading that every time because that's basically what they explained up top. So just know that's what they mean by the first frame of tension being spent. So for Kai, looks like Shock State got buffed. Basically, they wanted to last a little longer, basically stating it will not be removed when the opponent enters hit stun. It says it ensures that Shock State is applied at the start of a combo. You can benefit from it consistently. The first hit of Stun Dipper now launches the opponent, and during Shock State, the opponent will no longer tech on landing after the second hit. So it sounds like it gives them better Oki, which it says the next sentence, using meaty charge stun edge, making it easier to remain on offense. Then it looks like the hitbox for Crouch S is expanded forward, emphasizing its incredible range as it reaches farther than even far standing S. What the hell? It also now causes less knockback, making it a more viable option in neutral as it can combo into standing heavy slash. All right, so Shock State will no longer end when the opponent is in hit stun. Crouch S has reduced knockback, expanded forward hitbox, expanded some attack hitboxes upward, shrunk forward hurt box. Okay, so that got buffed pretty nicely. Stun edge, fixed the issue where stun edge, aerial stun edge, all versions, and charge stun edge cannot be activated for a certain period when receiving damage at a certain moment. Charge stun edge, reduce horizontal blowback final hit, increase the launch of the final hit, made the final hit less susceptible to vertical combo blowback scaling. Aerial stun edge, fixed an issue. So basically just fixes a bunch of issues for that. I'm not reading all that. This is a mouthful. Stun dipper, added launch effect to the initial hit on grounded hit. Blowback when the second hit hits during shock state, the opponent cannot ground tech. So that's what the Oki thing was talking about. Ride the Lightning, got the PRC nerf. Says fix issue where too little risk level accumulated when blocking during dragon install activation. That's weird. Sacred Edge, expanded hitbox backward. Okay. For Ram, just gonna go straight over the changes. She has reduced knockback on far S. Crouch S, reduced knockback, added staggering effect. So another stagger effect on counter hit buff. Then jump K, expanded hitbox and hurtbox downward. PRC nerf, basically for that super. Axel says now easier to keep the fight at long range where he excels due to the increased reward from hitting with his pokes. The opponent will no longer tech, so another buff to Oki and all that stuff basically. This creates more advantageous situations after confirming off his main pokes such as Crouch P and Stand S, or Far Stand S. 6K has been changed from a wall bounce to a tumble effect on hit. Okay, this allows moves such as Sickle Flash or Winter Mantis to connect more easily regardless of positioning, basically making his combos more consistent. Alright, and you can see all that, so nothing really crazy to write home about, but you can take the time to read that real quick. Chip, we have revised the properties of sweep, removing a frontal hurt box during startup for sweep. So it's a disjoint its sounding like. This makes it easier to hit the opponent's low profile moves, increasing his breadth of neutral options. And then it says, although the reach is shorter than far standing S, it rewards for more damage on counter hit, making it easier to use with the proper balance of risk to reward. Alright, and then jumping right to Potemkin, the moment we've been waiting for. We've revised the balance of risk to reward for his moves that quickly close distance. Hammerfall has reduced movement speed and shorter duration. So that means the distance he travels is probably less and his movement speed itself is slower. The Oki available after Pot Buster and Slide Head is different, making it easier for opponents to respond. A welcome change. The armored effect of Slide Head has been removed. Thank you, God Almighty. You can no longer go for a knockdown while enduring projectiles and pokes, adding more risk to this move. Mega Fist Forward has slower startup now, making it easier to respond with standing P or standing K. The slower startup makes it challenging to connect with opponents in the air, but it now allows for more additional attacks on hit. FDB has faster startup. 6K to FDB kata cancel string can no longer be interrupted by all characters 6P, making it relatively safe option to return to neutral. So defense modifier, value change from 0.87 to 0.91 to increase the damage taking. That is nice. Mega Fist Forward, so from 25 frames to 28 for startup, that's good. Landing recovery change from 15 to 18. Due to slower startup, frame advantage on block remains unchanged at -6. Then increased launch height after ground bounce. Expanded forward hurt box before startup downward. So all good changes for that move. Slide Head, remove the ability to withstand an attack from the opponent. Decreased base damage scaling. Decreased combo blowback scaling when hitting as the first hit in a combo. Shrunk upper hurt box before startup. The height of the hurt box is now the same as his crouching height. Reduced movement speed and the movement duration for Hammerfall. We know about that. We know about FDB from above, and we're not going to read that because, again, just think if it's a super and it lists it with the tension, you already know what time it is. Faust, we made adjustments aimed at improving the viability of poke attacks and easing the difficulty of combos. The knockback of far standing S has been reduced, continuing into crouch heavy slash after is now likely to whiff on both hit and block, making it for consistent results. 6 HS launches on hit. It can no longer combo into hole in one when used as a follow-up snip, 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 or thrust. However, mix and thrust will now hit reliably. Mix into the down back input used in combos now makes less knockback. This change makes it easier for close S to reach after. Okay, you already see at the bottom, bone crushing excitement basically says fix an issue where unintended behavior occurred if chip and the double from Gamma Blade were hit simultaneously to win the round. Okay, that's weird. Tension gauge is now spent, and yeah, so that Melia made adjustments aimed at strengthening rarely used specials and reducing difficulty of certain combos. Artemis now launches opponents on grounded hit. Additionally, we have reduced the hurt box to make it work as a counter against pokes, making it more useful in neutral. Tandem top S causes horizontal knockback blowback on hit. This makes it easier to perform O-key after a hit. And is also easier to aim for follow-up attacks with Roman purple Roman cancel, even when only the edge of the attack connects. So pretty good for Melia users. Nice. Zato, added a new move, Float, and made adjustments to Eddie life gauge to broaden his options for neutral and combos. Goes over what Float does. Float pulls Eddie back to the player's position and can be launched anytime. When Eddie has no hitbox during the launch, his trajectory can be altered with a button, allowing him to be sent to various positions. In particular, launching Eddie behind the opponent, basically saying you can sandwich them for offensive strategies. Eddie life gauge recovery speed has been increased. This time it takes for the gauge to fully recover after depletion has been reduced by 1.7 seconds, allowing for more rapid transition back to offense. Drunkard Shade now has projectile invincibility. This makes it effective countermeasure against projectiles that cannot be reflected. For projectiles that can be reflected, the reflection remains unchanged. So nothing but buffs for Zato. Very nice. Another one on the list, personally for me, Ram. Let's see what they did. We have made adjustments to limit her prolonged pressure strings and make it easier for the opponent to escape. We have also made adjustments to weaken some moves that were difficult to counter, while also expanding her options during neutral. Bad Shinetto now has reduced Gar's Crush duration for the sword portion and decreased active frames for the explosion. This makes it easier to escape the pressure with a jump if a gap is not covered by attacks from Ram herself, reducing the lockdown potential of her strings. So sounds good so far. The attack level and recovery of Ando have been adjusted, now leaving Ram at a disadvantage on block. While this reduces its strength as a pressure tool, the adjustment to its startup and active frames makes it easier to use in neutral. Jumping Heavy Slash now has a shorter duration and added landing recovery. It is now easier to intercept when used from high in the air, and also easier to punish on landing if the opponent evades it. Sweep now has longer range, making it easier to combo from stand K or crouch K. This makes it easier to trigger a knockdown after approaching with a dash. Now I'm just going to read the frame data parts pretty much. So for that jump Heavy Slash, active frames from 29 to 6 frames. Wow. And there were people saying this character wasn't top tier. Yeah, that's crazy. Changed landing recovery from 3 frames to 9. Wow. See, and this is why we're getting this on the record. So when people start saying certain characters aren't S tier, despite what I'm reading to you right now, just show them this. Boj Netto, all versions. Basically, frame advantage on block against a grounded opponent at close range has changed from 30 frames to 20 for the S version, and from 33 to 23 for the H version. Change active frames of the explosion from 15 to 10. Wow, these numbers are insane. All right, and then landing recovery for the aerial Detruo. Sorry, I cannot pronounce this name. It says change from 10 to 19, and then increased knockback. Added proximity requirement downward. I'm not really sure what that meant. Ando startup change from 31 to 28. Okay, so it's a little faster. Decreased attack level. That's good. Change active frames from 8 to 12, so that got buffed. Overall total duration has changed from 54 to 51 frames, and the frame advantage on block has changed from +7 to -4. Thank God. Reduced hit stop, strengthened vacuum effect. Okay, so looks like they worked some stuff in for that. Character now moves backwards during the time freeze effect when activated near the corner. This is for her Calvados super. Makes it easier to hit with Calvados when activating close to the corner. Okay, so yeah, that's Ram. Another one people were arguing was really strong, Leo. Brynhilder has been adjusted, make it more difficult to enter the stance from low risk moves, as well as more difficult for him to maintain his turn on offense after a failed mix-up. The opponent will now tech upon landing after a heavy slash version of his DP, even if heavy slash DP connects after low risk moves such as standing K or 2K. It is now more difficult to transition into Oki using Brynhilder. However, due to the horizontal blowback distance, it is now possible to perform meaty close S or turbulence. Now it says his heavy slash during his stance now creates a greater distance with the opponent when blocked. The attack level has been lowered as well. It says while Leo will still be at advantage if he cancels into the stance after it is more challenging to approach again to enter close range. Sweep had the horizontal knock or blowback, making it has reduced horizontal blowback, making it easier to cross up. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Even after hitting with far edge of the attack, now leads to consistent benefit regardless of distance. So a sweep got buffed, and then getting into his stance is harder. Okay, we like that. You already see with the tension with that super, you know what time it is. All right, Nago. We have made adjustments to limit his potential for surprise attacks from neutral and the strength of his close range mix-ups. I like how they frame a neutral skip a surprise attack. That's actually quite funny, that wording. Kamu Ryuki has been changed from a low to a mid. Thank God. It is no longer possible to perform a mix-up using it together with the second hit of Shizu Ryuki. It also will no longer hit the opponent while they are walking backward neutral. Thank you. Heavy slash has reduced horizontal blowback on hit. As it no longer blows the opponent as far away, it is now easier to set up Oki after a hit, expanding the options for combos and strings. Okay, we like all that. Geo. By making less frequently used moves more viable, we have expanded her neutral options. The startup speed of Sepultura when used after Chav is now easier or faster. This allows stand heavy slash shave Sepultura to hit consecutively, improving the reward when using far S or standing HS as pokes or counter pokes. And then it gives some frame data changes. Change startup from 13 to 5 frames for Sepultura, the back kick during shave. Increase the opponent's hit stop on block only. Change frame advantage on block from -5 to -3. Increase movement speed. All right, so looks like they got her some quality of life stuff. Anji. We have adjusted moves with excessively low risk on block and added new applications to normals that were used infrequently. The guard crush duration after Midori is blocked has been reduced and now leaves Anji at disadvantage when blocked. You will now lose your turn in situations such as after Sugetsu no Hakobi against a jumping attack or projectile and then making them block Midori. Crouch Heavy Slash now gives Anji an advantage on block. This now adds new offensive options rather than relying on Fujin before as heavily. However, the slower startup means that you need to choose your timing carefully. So once again, I'm reading this because it actually gives frame data. Change attack startup for Crouch H from 22 to 27. Change recovery from 19 to 9. Change frame advantage from -4 to +6 frames. Reduce knockback. And then from Midori, reduce guard crush duration. Frame advantage on block from +11 to -2. Increase knockback on block. Wow. Interesting. That's some interesting Anji changes for sure. All right, up next. Used to be main Ino. The game first came out. We have added clear risk to powerful moves that were difficult to counter and improved the usability of normals that were difficult to use. The leap occurs faster during Mad Love Agitato. However, the startup is now slower. This makes it easier to intercept when predicted, creating room for counterplay. To compensate for the slower startup, the knockback on hit has been improved to make it viable in combos. Ino now moves forward during stand heavy slash. This makes it more likely to connect after far slash or crouch S, improving their usability as hooks. It says for the stand heavy slash now moves forward during action. For the Mad Love Agitato, the one where she leaps forward and strums the guitar, change started from 26 to 29, sped up the timing when Ino becomes airborne. Frame advantage on block remains unchanged. Fix an issue where the character was in a counter hit state until the end of the recovery after connecting with the opponent. It almost sounds like her during the excerpt days. For all my Ino players in that game too, you did hover dash, heavy slash, or any super jump, heavy slash, or any form of jump in the early days, you were automatically in counter hit state until you land. So it sounds almost like that. That's kind of crazy. All right, Gold Lewis, another one. I'm curious about this one. We emphasize the risk of powerful and difficult to counter moves, reducing the benefit they provide. Jump D now has reduced active frame duration and a smaller frontal hitbox. It is now more challenging to use directly after jumping and hit with the active frames, and thus easier to intercept. The opponent will now tech upon landing after Behemoth Typhoon mid-air. This makes it more difficult to go into powerful Oki from a jump in, okay? Behemoth Typhoon now triggers a more powerful counter hit effect. While the changes to the yellow Roman cancel make it easier to escape his strings, there's still more time to perform a follow-up after a counter hit, allowing for more powerful combos. So he got a defense modifier 2 from 0.89 to 0.92, increasing the damage. Jump D, active frames from 10 to 4 frames. Wow. Expanded hitbox forward. Behemoth Typhoon all versions. It says change counter hit effect of grounded versions. For aerial Behemoth Typhoon, opponent will now tech upon landing. Down with the system, we already know what that's about with detention. Jacko, we have made adjustments to rarely used special moves, making them more practical. Countdown now has a shorter detonation time. This makes it easier to incorporate into Oki or strings, allowing it to be utilized as a high return offensive option. Defend command can now absorb the explosion of Countdown. This allows it to be used as an emergency measure to avoid the explosion. However, if the explosion is absorbed, By defend command, the hitbox of the explosion will disappear, meaning it cannot be used to make the opponent block while you take no damage. So basically, it saves you, but you can't also be like a Uno reverse card and then send it. Okay, so what? Huh. All right. Well, those are some interesting changes for sure. Let's move on to the next character. Happy Chaos, our boy. Let's see. Did we eat? Did we get cooked? Let's find out. We have adjusted some normals that were strong and neutral. Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. While adding new applications for less frequently used special moves. Crouch S now has increased recovery. This increases the risk when using it as a preemptive move to stop opponent's approach. Okay. 6S now decelerates faster and has reduced range. To hit the opponent with this move, now you need to dash in closer before executing. The clone scapegoat now appears farther to the front. When used as at close range, the clone will now appear behind the opponent, making it possible to create offensive situations as if in the corner. Now, since this is my boy reading everything. All right, so Crouch S went from 18 to 24 frame recovery. Yikes. Changed the frame advantage on block from -7 to -13. Wow, that's pretty significant. 6S, reduced movement distance. Okay, whatever. Scapegoat. Moved clone generation position forward. That wording is really weird, but okay. When a clone is generated, it now faces the opponent. Again, another weird thing, but I guess it'll make more sense when you get like a visual display of it. Reduced HP usage, that's good. Reduced movement distance, that's good because that'll allow you to get the mix started. So guarantee if you put them in the corner, pop clone after like a 2D or something like that, you could pop clone or whatever, or reload, then pop clone, whichever is better at the time, and then pretty much go for some sandwich mix-ups or something. So that's pretty cool, but yeah, kind of in the middle because he gets his pokes nerfed, but then he gets clone mix-ups now instead of it being completely useless. So kind of curious because nothing else got touched. J2K we're still eating pretty good. So all right, cool. All right, whatever. All right, Biking. We have made adjustments to some low risk mix-ups to make them less potent. Additionally, we have improved the usability of moves that were difficult to use in certain situations. The downward hitbox at the start of Yozansen has been reduced, thank God. While it will still connect as before when used at the lowest possible altitude, it is now more difficult to hit with Yozansen after an aerial backdash. So people were running away with that? Wow. Crouch heavy slash now reduce backward knockback when in the corner. This makes it easier to connect into Kabari, the H version, after hitting with the far edge of the attack. Hiragi will now reset commands input upon successful parry. This makes it less likely to trigger unintended moves. Okay, so I guess supposedly raw Yozansens that are retreating Yozansens can be easily or easier to hit now. Okay, we shall have to test that in the lab. Testament. We have made adjustments to the situation after combos, making it easier to lead into Oki. Sweep now causes reduced horizontal blowback, and grounded Grave Reaper now triggers a different hit stun. This makes it easier for Stan K to connect from Grave Reaper heavy slash version, even when at a far distance after hitting with Sweep. Okay? With Unholy Diver hits, the opponent no longer techs upon landing. It is now easier to approach after an aerial hit and using it as a combo finisher, leading to strong Oki. Okay. Bridget added new applications for frequent less used moves. Rock the Baby midair can now hit aerial opponents in the hit stun and has faster startup. This means it can be incorporated into combos and various scenarios. Rolling movement now deals more damage when charged. Excuse me. In combination with the changes to rock the baby mid-air, this improves combo damage, especially in the corner. Okay. Some frame changes. This when change damage from charge version from 32 to 55. Okay. Then fix some issues. For Rock the Baby Ariel, says change the startup from 27 to 22 frames. Can now grab the opponent while they are in hit stun. Okay. Wow. So those are pretty okay buffs for her. Sin. We have revised situations where his combo damage would increase, particularly reducing mid-screen damage. Additionally, we have improved the performance of normals that were difficult to use. Elk Hunt can no longer be followed up when it hits as a combo starter. This reduces damage available to his low-profile lunging move that excels in neutral. So continuing into his changes, we're going to read all this because it's my boy as well. Test case 2, reduce the number of Howling Matron by 1, increase the number of Aquila Matron by 1, okay? Recover mana instant, just says recovery amount increased. Low pass filter gravity, we already went over that, gives it the ground bounce effect. Delayed Howling Metron, fix an issue where the speed would drastically decelerate under certain conditions. It's interesting. Aquila Metron changed from invincible move to a freeze opponent on hit. Properties such as the hitbox position and recovery have been adjusted overall in line with this change. Remove strike and throw invincibility can now be canceled into special moves. Now that's sweet. Full order, reduced mana depletion, time stop effect. So wasn't any normal changes I would like to see. It's fine. I'm glad that low pass gravity staff has been buffed. That is definitely welcome change in my opinion. But we'll see how all this works. But I'm excited because some of these changes sound pretty good. I like that they're targeting frequently less used moves or non-frequented moves are being buffed. I think that's a pretty good idea. So yeah. Now we have Johnny, another character definitely on the list. Literally just one evil. Let's see what they have to say about Mr. Johnny. We have revised his ability to quickly close distance and go on the offensive, making adjustments to his mobility. His dash movement speed has been reduced, making it cover less distance. It is now more difficult to close the distance after hitting with Mistfinder or blocking or forcing a block with turn up. Heavy Slash now has increased knockback, creating more distance with the opponent on both block and hit. It is now more difficult to combo into Mistfinder or Wild Assault after hitting with the far edge of the attack in the corner. On the other hand, the increased distance reduces the risk of placing a card with deal after Heavy Slash is blocked. Okay. The deal follow-up after Vault is now available later. It can now be more easily intercepted with high hitting attacks, making it easier to handle. Far standing slash has reduced hitbox, making or hit back, making it easier to connect with the standing heavy slash afterwards. This improves the consistency of combos and strings after hitting with far edge of the attack. Huh. These changes are really interesting. So they made it so that way you can actually have a chance to attack him after he does the deal follow-up after Volt. I didn't expect him to do that, but wow. And then let's see. So forward dash. I am so sorry. Forward dash reduced movement speed. Due to the change in movement speed, movement distance has been reduced, so that's good. Backdash got nerfed. He definitely needed that. That backdash was cracked. It was really good. Change total recovery from 18 to 22. Due to this change in recovery, movement distance has been slightly increased. says reduce knockback for far slash. We already read some of these. There's no other thing besides just mentioning chip and the double gamma blade or hit. Fixed issue to win the round. Okay. Elfelts. We have revised the property of some moves to make it easier to deal with. At the same time, we have improved the usability of moves that were not often used, expanding the range of options available. Chain Lollipop has been adjusted so the number of follow-ups is no longer reset when Here I Go is used. This means that after the initial Here I Go, all routes will end after 2 follow-ups. Oh my god, thank you. Bomb. I'm not even going to try to butcher that other part of it. Now disappears if Elfelt is put into a hit stun state after placing it. In exchange, a launch effect has been added where the strike part of the move hits. It can now lead into Oki even after hitting mid-screen. Command Normal 3 hitbox has been expanded forward with the hit effect change to a stagger. This makes it easier to combo into Miss Charlotte out of repair mid-screen, slightly increasing combo damage. Okay. So yeah, you can't sit there and spam the Rekka anymore. I get it, it wasn't invincible, but that is actually a good change because I guess that's like a scrub killer. So welcome change, you know, no complaints on any of that. Abba. We have made adjustments to limit moves that easily allowed for aggressive offense. Additionally, we have improved the usability of throws which were difficult to use due to the mechanics of Jealousy Gauge. Did they mean Rage? I'm pretty sure they messed that up. We'll go with it. The hurt box of Frenzy and Astonishment during Jealousy or Jealous Rage has expanded downward, making it more difficult to evade grounded pokes and projectiles. However, it is still possible to evade low hitting attacks as before. Ground and air throw will no longer deplete Jealousy Gauge during their animations. This allows for easier use of throws without worrying about the remaining of Jealousy Gauge, making throws a viable option at close range. Okay, so that's actually sounds pretty damn good. Yeah. So pretty much they buffed her throw by making her gauge not decrease after a successful air or ground throw. But for her aerial bonding and dissolving no longer moves backward when the action is interrupted during the hit animation. Huh. Alright, well, interesting. And then she gets the typical super nerf Slayer. When it says we have reduced the benefit gain from counter hit on certain moves, making moves that were difficult to deal with more manageable. On the other hand, we have strengthened the benefit gained from jabs, making it easier to create openings from minor exchanges. Crouching Heavy Slash has increased horizontal blowback on counter hit. This reduces reward for a counter hit at a distance. Master's Hammond now has increased recovery along with increased guard crush duration. This situation after blocking remains unchanged, but is now easier to punish if evaded with a jump. The attack level has been increased for stand and crouch punch. They can now combo into a Mappa Hunch K version, meaning you can initiate your offense off of jabs. Okay. Then it says for standing jab, change recovery from 9 to 11. Frame advantage on block remains unchanged. Crouch punch, increased attack level and change recovery from 8 to 10 frames. Then Master Hammer, change recovery from 16 to 24 frames while increasing guard crush duration. Okay. No longer triggers grounded tech on landing. Increased height of ground bounce. All right. So basically, it's going to be a bit more annoying, but they just don't want you getting a crazy reward off of a counter hit, crouch heavy slash. All right. Whatever. Can combo off the jabs with the K Mappa. All right. Dizzy. To make long range combat more sustainable, her poking options have been improved. The active frames of I Used to Catch Fish have been extended. This allows it to be used as a wall to prevent the opponent from approaching. Additionally, the projectile durability has been increased, making it more likely to win clashes against other projectiles. The opponent no longer techs after Michael's Sword, the S version. This creates opportunity to set up projectiles after hit. The forward hitbox of Crouch S has been expanded. This makes it more reliable to countermeasure against opponent's dash. In conjunction with other changes to Michael's Sword S version, the benefit on hit has increased. I'll just read this frame data part, but the rest they pretty much already read. Increased clash level for I Used to Catch Fish S or HS version. Change active frames from 16 to 36. So basically, they just want her to be a better zoner. Sorry, Dizzy players, you're going to get a little bit better Oki and zoning, but you know, it doesn't sound like she got too crazy of a buff, but yeah. All right. Now we got Venom. We have made adjustments to improve the overall usability of moves and make it easier to engage in situations that utilize the balls. The duration the balls remain after being struck has increased, making them easier to reuse. This gives variety in his neutral game and strings, allowing for the creation of diverse setups depending on the situation. Additionally, the ball's damage has been increased. We have revised the hitboxes of various normal moves to make it easier to strike set balls. In particular, jumping attacks were prone to missing. So we have added hitboxes that only hit set balls. Crouch H has had its blowback adjusted, making it easier to use in combos. This improves the consistency of combos from close stand S. Carcass Raid S version now has reduced recovery time. This makes it more viable in a wide range of situations, including neutral, strings, and combos. Additionally, we have fixed some issues. Due to this, some combos and strings may no longer be usable. Furthermore, due to changes made to risk mechanics, the damage of Triumbaka with accumulated risk level has been reduced. So sounds like people almost have to like relearn this character. Ball damage increased from 30 to 40. Change duration stuck on screen from 120 frames to 300 frames. So that sounds pretty good. Initial damage of Carcass Raid, all versions from 15 to 30. Carcass Raid S version, change recovery from 27 to 19. Change frame advantage on block from -3 to +5. Wow. Yeah, so it's doing pretty good. Last but not least, Unica says she has been in the game for a short period of time, resulting in fewer adjustments. ATTG now has a horizontal proximity requirement. This makes it more difficult to hit opponents attempting to punish from behind, reducing unnatural hits. Okay. So that's pretty much it. There's really not much else to talk about. Some things I want to go back to. Like I said, Dizzy, yeah, I'm sorry guys, but yeah, it sounds like they just want her to be a zoner. So hope you like what you got, because she got improved zoning and stuff. She can set up more Oki with the zoning, but nothing too crazy. Slayer, you know, whatever. At least it sounds like you can deal with Master Hammer a little bit easier, so whatever. Abba is fine. This is actually pretty great, not having to deal with the infinite stuff, because I get it. Yes, you can stop it. It's a knowledge check, but let's be honest. if she gets you after the first set and you're just not ready for her, not paying attention or whatever, it can be frustrating at lower levels. So I get it. So yeah, Elfelt pretty much got nerfed. Johnny, hold this L. You got your forward and back dash nerf. Amazing changes. He has a harder time with the deal follow up after vault. That's good. We love to see it. After heavy slash and all that, he has increased knockback, making it harder to combo off the very tip of heavy slash into Mistfinder. So we love it. Asuka, really good changes. Finally, they didn't nerf him at all, which is amazing. I personally didn't like the DP move. That move was pretty terrible. Took a lot of mana. It was pretty easy to see when Asuka had it. You could just bait it out. He couldn't RC it after they nerfed the RC DP stuff. So that move became pretty terrible. So pretty good Asuka changes. No comment on Bedman. I really don't have much to say about him at all. Sin. I'm sorry, Sin players. They don't want you comboing for free off of anything anymore. So I guess, I don't know. You just gotta hold this L. I'm sorry, guys. This is some crazy changes that he got. Like, yeah, his jump move, a hoof stomp, that got buffed. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. Like everything else, his combo ability got nerfed overall, especially with the RC changes. That's another thing I forgot to mention with Johnny. Johnny got a massive nerf because remember those notes up below, that was just for him personally. You gotta remember, if you now do Wild Assault, because he has the red Wild Assault, that means he can no longer do his slash into heavy slash into red Wild Assault, have his card already set, jump cancel, fast RC into miss. He can't do any of that. That's amazing. So that just destroyed a lot of his pressure, which I definitely welcome. Bridget, no comment. She didn't really get much. She's another character that didn't really get changed a lot. Testament, I mean, just another zoner. Looks like Testament gets more Oki. I mean, cool, I guess, but still ultimately just a zoner. Biken, I'd like to see how that affects her Yozansen, but it sounds like it's just when she's retreating, basically not necessarily doing it at the lowest possible height. So we'll see. Chaos, pretty much a slap in the wrist from what it sounds like. I'm very curious to see what pressure we can get off of Scapegoat, because that could be pretty helpful. Like, I don't know, maybe you don't have like any focus and you get the knockdown, and maybe you can go for some nice Goomba Stomp mix-ups, as people keep calling it, the Goomba Stomp. So we'll see. No comment on Jacko. Like, I can't answer any of this. I don't really know if that's even good. Gold Lewis, definitely L. I mean, that JD nerf is pretty significant. Damage taken, defense nerf, that's pretty good. Eno, I mean, I think she's still eating pretty good. Anji, I don't know. If you're an Anji player, let me know in the comments what you think about this, but I don't really know what to say about Anji. Geo's alright. Nago, hold this L. Beyblade got nerfed. It's not a low anymore. I don't know why they ever did that. Hold this L. That's pretty good. We like to see that. Leo, not being able to easily go into his stance change easily. That's good. We like to see that as well. So that's good. Oh my God. Ram Lethal Valentine. Definitely major L. Guard Crush got nerfed. Remember, you can YRC Guard Crush now. It's not even a true block string anymore when she does the H version or the S version of Bajanet. So you like that? It's saying you can literally jump out, and the only way you're locked down is if she herself stops you. So that's really good. So L for Ram. Zato, nothing but buffs. Cool, love to see it. Hopefully people play him more. Amelia, nothing but W's. Faust, I'm unsure. Like, yeah, I'm not really sure. Potemkin, it is an L, but I want to see, before I have my full judgment on him, if like he has like a great distance reduced from his hammer fall or what. The slide head nerf, that is a major L. But I want to see what that hammer fall nerf looks like, because FDB got buffed. They got a little faster, so I want to see what he's looking like with these changes. But yeah, outside that, yeah, pretty reasonable changes. It's if this is significant enough for this hammer fall, it sounds like he lost a lot of Oki, which I am very happy about, because his normals are still the same. He still has armor on Potemkin Buster. Flick is still godlike. It's still really strong. So yeah, we'll see. We just got to see some visual examples of everything before someone has like this jump out the window like mentality with, you know, whether someone's cooked or whatever. But yeah, these nerfs sound pretty reasonable so far. So yeah, Chip, no comment really. I don't know. Sounds like Sweep has a disjoint. Axel's Axel. He's pretty much just a zoner. He got more consistency, whatever. I've always been an Axel hater. I don't like his character, so whatever. We're still gonna pick Chaos against him. May sounds like she's eating pretty good. No nerfs at all whatsoever. So May sounds like she's doing pretty good. Kai's eating really good for sure, making shock state a lot more consistent. Stun edge or stun dipper, I should say, got buffed, so cool for Kai players, I guess. 2S also got a pretty big buff, and then Soul kind of in the middle. Pretty sure he's like neutral. He didn't win or lose. He barely got touched. He didn't really need anything, to be honest. But yeah, that pretty much wraps all this up. Let me know what you guys think. Is there something you wanted to see that wasn't in here? Was there a particular other change, system change you liked or disliked or anything like that? What do you feel about the new ranking system and all that? How you guys feel about everything that was just shown with the changes? Yeah, just let me know in the comments. And yeah, we're definitely coming back with some more content for this game, because that last season was just awful. But we're definitely back for sure, grinding this game out. Probably going to try to enter some TNS now that characters have been adjusted properly and it's a lot more feasible in a lot more matchups. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you haven't already, like, share this video if you can, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon. Until the next time, guys, peace.